And anyways, let's get back into the medal count for the VFL. Round 12. Div 12 Ressies versus Williamstown. Div 12 Ressies, M. Robinson, 1 vote. Div 12 Ressies, T. Balch, 2 votes. Div 12 Ressies, S. Glagora, 3 votes. Ballarat versus Port Melbourne. Port Melbourne, P. Farrant, 1 vote. Port Melbourne, D. Lloyd, 2 votes. Port Melbourne, M. Gahan, 3 votes. Werribee versus Frankston. Werribee, J. Pavlidis, 1 vote. Werribee, J. Riding, 2 votes. Werribee, N. Tulo, 3 votes. Preston versus Casey. Casey, D. Smith, 1 vote. Casey, T. Edwards, 2 votes. Preston, S. Donegan, 3 votes. Box Hill versus Brighton. Box Hill, L. Ward, 1 vote. Box Hill, S. Durden, 2 votes. Box Hill, S. Horner, 3 votes. Sandringham versus Coburg. Coburg, J. Vitale, 1 vote. Coburg, J. Trudgeon, 2 votes. Broadview, J. D. Itinosante, 3 votes. Now we move on to round 13. Sandringham versus Div 12 Ressies. Night, Mum. Night, Mum.
I said to Mum as well, you can actually take dog for a walk.
Yes.
Get them wiggles out of him, alright?
Yep.
Oh, sorry, darling, here you go.
Round 13. Sandringham versus Div 12 Ressies. Div 12 Ressies, T. Balch, 1 vote. Div 12 Ressies, M. Robinson, 2 votes. Div 12 Ressies, C. Caldwell, 3 votes. Coburg versus Sandringham. Coburg versus Box Hill. Coburg, J. Latchford, 1 vote. Box Hill, J. Sammartino, 2 votes. Box Hill, S. Durden, 3 votes. Brighton versus Preston. Brighton, S. Lowson, 1 vote. Brighton, Z. Foot, 2 votes. Brighton, J. Heron, 3 votes. Casey versus Werribee. Casey, R. George, 1 vote. Casey, T. Edwards, 2 votes. Casey, Werribee, J. Riding, 3 votes. Frankston versus Ballarat. Frankston, J. Voss, 1 vote. Ballarat, C. Welsh, 2 votes. Frankston, C. Ellison, 3 votes. Port Melbourne versus Williamstown. Williamstown, R. Collier Dawkins, 1 vote. He used to play for Woodville in 2023. Port Melbourne, J. Green, 2 votes. Williamstown, H. Minton-Connell, 3 votes. Round 14. Div 12 Ressies versus Port Melbourne. Div 12 Ressies, S. Gabbett, 1 vote. Div 12 Ressies, S. Glagora, 2 votes. Div 12 Ressies, W. Taylor, 3 votes. Williamstown versus Frankston. Williamstown, H. Paul Kahan, 1 vote. Frankston, T. Blamiris, 2 votes. Williamstown, R. Collier Dawkins, 3 votes. Ballarat versus Casey. Casey, T. Freeman, 1 vote. Casey, D. Smith, 2 votes. Casey, W. Lowell, 3 votes. Werribee versus Brighton. Werribee, J. Riding, 1 vote. Werribee, H. Gironi, 2 votes. Werribee, B. Malawau, 3 votes. Preston versus Coburg. Preston, E. Mantis, 1 vote. Preston, J. Hamilton, 2 votes. Coburg, J. Vitale, 3 votes. Box Hill versus Sandringham. Box Hill, J. Sammartino, 1 vote. Sandringham, B. Watson, 2 votes. Box Hill, T. Bianco, 3 votes. Now for round 15. Box Hill versus Div 12 Ressies. Div 12 Ressies. J. Scott, 1 vote. Div 12 Ressies. P. Hupay, also known as Cardman, 2 votes. Div 12 Ressies. J. Isles, also known as Checkers, 3 votes. Sandringham versus Preston. Preston, J. Velasaris, 1 vote. Preston, J. Hamilton, 2 votes. Preston. S. Donegan, 3 votes. Coburg versus Werribee. Werribee, B. Millal, 1 vote. Werribee, M. McCluggage, 2 votes. Coburg, F. Gentile, 3 votes. Brighton versus Ballarat. Ballarat, C. Gracie, 1 vote. Brighton, Z. Foot, 2 votes. Brighton, J. Edwards, 3 votes. Casey versus Williamstown. Casey, T. Sruck, 1 vote. Casey, R. George, 2 votes. Casey, T. Freeman, 3 votes. Frankston versus Port Melbourne. Port Melbourne, W. Hamill, 1 vote. Frankston, T. Murphy, 2 votes. Port Melbourne, D. Lloyd, 3 votes. Now we move on to round 16. Round 16. Div 12 Ressies versus Frankston. Div 12 Ressies, T. Balch, also known as Prime Train, 1 vote. Div 12 Ressies, S. Gagora, 2 votes. Div 12 Ressies, V. Brigante, 3 votes. Port Melbourne versus Casey. Port Melbourne, D. Lloyd, 1 vote. Port Melbourne, P. Farrett, 2 votes. Casey, D. Smith, 3 votes. Anyways, back to the votes. Williamstown versus Brighton, the Beach Derby. Williamstown, N. Colenso, 1 vote. Brighton, B. Woodcock, 2 votes. Williamstown, R. Collier Dawkins, 3 votes. Fun fact, Riley Collier Dawkins, he played for Woodville West Torrens back in the 2023 SANFL season. And then he went to Williamstown the very next year. He used to play for Richmond. Anyways, Ballarat versus Coburg. Coburg, J. Lefroy, 1 vote. Coburg, F. Gentile, 2 votes. Coburg, R. Sturgis, 3 votes. Werribee versus Sandringham. Sandringham, S. Buck, 1 vote. Sandringham, J. Peckett, 2 votes. Werribee, J. Pavlidis, 3 votes. Preston versus Box Hill. Preston, K. Schreiber, 1 vote. Preston, J. Hamilton, 2 votes. Preston. S. Donegan, 3 votes. Well, for the leaderboard right now, well, Sam Donegan from Preston's in the lead with 22 votes. In second, we got Sam Glagora for the Div 12 Ressies on 17 votes. Equal third is Jack Bytel and Jack Peckett from Coburg and Sandringham, respectively, on 16 votes. Well, and in fifth, we got Lane Ward on 13 votes. Well, this might be an exciting finish to the medal count. We've got 6 rounds to go. Round 17. Preston versus Div 12 Ressies. Div 12 Ressies, D. Gorringe, 1 vote. Div 12 Ressies, C. Caldwell, 2 votes. Div 12 Ressies. L. Brown, 3 votes. Box Hill versus Werribee. Box Hill, D. Wood, 1 vote. Werribee, M. Cousins, 2 votes. Werribee, M. McCluggage, 3 votes. Sandringham versus Ballarat. Sandringham, L. Purcell, 1 vote. Sandringham, S. Buck, 2 votes. Sandringham, J. Hutchings, 3 votes. Coburg versus Williamstown. Williamstown and Colenso, 1 vote. Williamstown, Coburg, I. Damersmith, 2 votes. Williamstown, J. Cousins, 3 votes. I'll go do that now. Sorry, Mum. Done. That's better. Anyways, Brighton versus Port Melbourne. Port Melbourne, D. Bedendo, 1 vote. Port Melbourne, A. Manton, 2 votes. Port Melbourne, R. Polkinghorne, 3 votes. Casey versus Frankston. Frankston, B. Lambert, 1 vote. Frankston and Burke, 2 votes. Casey, J. Bank, 3 votes. Now moving on to round 18. Round 18. Div 12 Ressies versus Casey. Div 12 Ressies, R. Sray, 1 vote. Well, this is not a drill. Sray's got a vote. Div 12 Ressies, M. Robinson, 2 votes. Div 12 Ressies, J. Scott, 3 votes. Frankston versus Brighton. Brighton, M. Willis, 1 vote. Brighton, S. Lowson, 2 votes. Brighton, Z. Foot, 3 votes. Port Melbourne versus Coburg. Coburg, M. Kennedy, 1 vote. Coburg, R. Sturgis, 2 votes. Coburg, J. Bytel, 3 votes. Williamstown versus Sandringham. Sandringham, E. Williams, 1 vote. Sandringham, J. Hutchings, 2 votes. Sandringham, A. Matheson, 3 votes. Ballarat versus Box Hill. Box Hill, L. Ward, 1 vote. Box Hill, E. Stanley, 2 votes. Box Hill, D. Wood, 3 votes. Werribee versus Preston. Werribee, M. McCluggage, 1 vote. Preston, M. Goodman, 2 votes. Werribee, J. Smith, 3 votes. Now we move on to round 19. Preston versus Ballarat. Preston, S. Green, 1 vote. Preston, Y. Ashwin, 2 votes. Preston, C. Scarry, 3 votes. Box Hill versus Williamstown. Box Hill, S. Horner, 1 vote. Williamstown, T. Downey, 2 votes. Williamstown, J. Sammartino, 3 votes. Sandringham versus Port Melbourne. Port Melbourne, L. Bond, 1 vote. Port Melbourne, J. Green, 2 votes. Sandringham, J. Packett, 3 votes. Coburg versus Frankston. Frankston, L. Reedy, 1 vote. Frankston, T. Blamiris, 2 votes. Frankston, L. Burke, 3 votes. Brighton versus Casey. Casey, T. Freeman, 1 vote. Brighton, S. Lowson, 2 votes. Brighton, J. Gore, 3 votes. Werribee versus Div 12 Ressies. Div 12 Ressies. I'm at Werribee, J. Clark, 1 vote. Div 12 Ressies. D. Gorringe, 2 votes. Div 12 Ressies. S. Glagora, 3 votes. Oh, this is looking like a photo finish in this medal count. And with 3 rounds to go, we actually got 4 contenders. Packett, Bytel, Glagora, and Donegan. Now we're back to round 20. Anyways, back to the votes. Round 20, Port Melbourne versus Box Hill. Port Melbourne, J Miller, 1 vote. Port Melbourne, Al Bond, 2 votes. Box Hill, B Simonson, 3 votes. Ballarat versus Werribee. Werribee, Antilio, 1 vote. Werribee, J Pavlidis, 2 votes. Werribee, J Longmire, 3 votes. Frankston versus Sandringham. Sandringham, J Cheap, 1 vote. Frankston, T Blamiris, 2 votes. Sandringham, A Matheson, 3 votes. Casey versus Coburg. Coburg, M Kennedy, 1 vote. Casey, A Green, 2 votes. Casey, K Windsor, 3 votes. Div 12 Ressies versus Brighton. Div 12 Ressies. C Caldwell, 1 vote. Div 12 Ressies. L Brown, 2 votes. Div 12 Ressies. S Glagora, 3 votes. Williamstown versus Preston. Preston, J Velasaris, 1 vote. Preston, C Skerry, 2 votes. Preston, S Donegan, 3 votes. Round 21, Ballarat versus Div 12 Ressies. Ballarat H Willett, 1 vote. Div 12 Ressies K Murray, 2 votes. Div 12 Ressies J Scott, 3 votes. Werribee versus Williamstown. Werribee B Malaya, 1 vote. Werribee B Kellett, 2 votes. Werribee M McCluggage, 3 votes. Box Hill versus Frankston. Box Hill C Porter, 1 vote. Frankston C Ellison, 2 votes. Box Hill T Bianco, 3 votes. Sandringham versus Casey. Casey T Freeman, 1 vote. Sandringham and L Purcell, 2 votes. Sandringham and McGuinness, 3 votes. Coburg versus Brighton. Coburg M Pahadsky, 1 vote. Brighton H Dixon, 2 votes. Coburg J Trudgeon, 3 votes. Hang on a minute. Coburg versus Brighton. Coburg, M Pahadsky, 1 vote. Brighton, H Dixon, 2 votes. Coburg, J Trudgeon, 3 votes. Preston versus Port Melbourne. Port Melbourne, D Lloyd, 1 vote. Port Melbourne, H Hooper, 2 votes. Port Melbourne, T Hurd, 3 votes. Now for the last round. Round 22. Brighton versus Sandringham. Sandringham and McGuinness, 1 vote. Brighton Z Foot, 2 votes. Preston J Cabilly, 3 votes. Casey versus Box Hill. Box Hill S Horner, 1 vote. Box Hill T Bianco, 2 votes. KCT Freeman, 3 votes. Port Melbourne versus Larrabee. Port Melbourne D Lloyd, 1 vote. Port Melbourne M Gahan, 2 votes. Port Melbourne T Graham, 3 votes. Williamstown versus Ballarat. Williamstown H Minton Connell, 1 vote. Williamstown L Parks, 2 votes. Williamstown R Collier Dawkins, 3 votes. Frankston versus Preston. Frankston O Moran, 1 vote. Frankston T Murphy, 2 votes. Preston J Velasaris, 3 votes. Div 12 Ressies versus Kyberg. Div 12 Ressies. J Isles, also known as Checkers, 1 vote. Div 12 Ressies. D Gorringe, 2 votes. Well, this is a photo finish. Sam Donegan's only 2 votes in front from Preston. Well, second place, Sam Glegora needs 3 votes to win it. Div 12 Ressies. S. Glegora, 3 votes. And we declared a winner of the JJ Liston Trophy for 2026 is Sam Glegora of the Div 12 Ressies on 26 votes. And that will wrap up this video.